Hi, and welcome to the Rain Tech I T'd Myself podcast. This will be the second episode we've done. This is hopefully going to be a weekly episode. It's been about a month since the last one we did, but my name is Matthew Miniman, and I have here a good friend of mine, Matt Marine, who is coming in cold. And if you guys haven't heard about what the I T'd Myself podcast is, this is a podcast where I go through a bunch of the security stuff that have happened recently, and I bring in somebody pretty cold who has limited experience with technology. They're definitely not an IT guy, so we have to talk about things in a way that normal people can understand them. So anyways, that being said, Matt, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Matt Marine. I'm a joker, a smoker, and a midnight smoker. I am not a boomer by any means, but I know my way around tech stuff. My title at work is Digital Media and Communications Manager, so I know my way around audio, video, and photo stuff. As far as cyber tech goes, I am as dumb as they come.
Well, that's good, because this is you're my intended audience.
Okay.
So we're gonna get into this, and we'll start with this first article. So this first thing that came out a couple weeks ago, and has just sort of picked up steam, is this application. You guys may have used it once or twice. I think it's near and dear to just about everybody's heart on the internet. It's called WinRAR. WinRAR is great because people love to use it because it's free. You don't have to pay for it, and you can extract RARs or ISOs or anything like that. I remember back in the LimeWire days, we were just using WinRAR like crazy because you could extract everything with WinRAR. It was great, and they didn't ask for payment. They only asked for you to maybe possibly think about paying them. But anyways, WinRAR is still kicking, which is kind of impressive because there is a lot around the extraction protocols, and there's a built-in extractor inside of Windows. But WinRAR is still kicking, and what has happened, there have been a couple of recent vulnerabilities that have been spotted with WinRAR. Last year, there was a vulnerability that basically was associated with the way that WinRAR creates an archive. It puts extra instructions in there to tell the computer where to put things and how to extract the data. With that instruction set, somebody figured out, hey, I can tell the computer to do anything I want. I can tell the computer to install this application. I can tell the computer to delete this file. I can tell the computer to edit this thing. And because of how WinRAR works, it runs as the computer. So the computer has all permissions to itself. So it's just like, I'm going to touch everything on myself that I'm told to touch. And that was a vulnerability last year. WinRAR patched that. So that was the thing. They patched that and they pushed it out. And if you got a copy of WinRAR within the last year, you're probably okay. But this new one is kind of weird. So the way that this new vulnerability works is that there is a specially crafted image that sits inside of the executable. And when WinRAR attempts to extract that image, it does some funky things that causes WinRAR to basically just do random shit. So we're talking about things like it will allow you to copy code into a registry and encrypt that code so that you can then obfuscate it behind different aspects of the Windows operating system, and basically just have no way for an antivirus or EDR program to intercept and prevent that execution. So it really is kind of a very unique and sophisticated attack. I hate using the word sophisticated, but it is really complex, and it allows an attacker to kind of hide things in there. And where we're seeing this attack primarily targeted towards day traders. So the guys who are sitting there trading stocks all day, they're getting these phishing emails with this malware attached to it, and it runs this image, and the image that I have up here, it says, it's just got a message from the IE user that says pound, that it's demonstrating how the image.jpg file that's being extracted from this RAR file is executing random code. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird.
So I would assume that whenever people are getting these files, they have an idea of why they're downloading something. How are they being tricked by these emails to download these RAR files?
Well, if I'm completely and totally honest, people are just dumb. People are stupid. I mean, honestly, it's not that people are stupid.
And are they zip files or are they RAR files?
They're generally.
And by the way, I'm going to need you to make it a little more sassy and sexy when you RAR.
When I RAR.
When you're RAR me.
RAR. Oh, that was terrible. No, so they're mainly zip files now. But because WinRAR registers itself as the program to execute zip files, the default program, then when you double click on the zip file, becomes RAR, WinRAR. Mm-hmm. But the way that people are getting these, usually, there's actually a couple of ways. So in this specific attack methodology where they're targeting day traders will often get blast emails where they're basically like, here are the top tips for today. And I don't know if you watch Jim Cramer. He is absolutely the craziest son of a bitch on the planet. But a lot of people will like him because he's high energy and he has a lot of really great stock picks that don't necessarily always pan out. But he gives a bunch of that out. And so there are day traders who sign up for the lists like that. And when they expect those emails every day. And so if I, as an attacker, know what lists you're signed up for, I can turn around, look like that list, and send it out to you. So let's say, for instance, you as a day trader are a part of some list. We'll call it daytradeslacker.com. Right? So daytradeslacker.com has this blast list that it sends emails out for all these tips and tricks. You as the day trader are expecting my email every day. Like at 6 o'clock in the morning, that's one of the emails you're looking for when you start your day. But Daytrade Slacker gets compromised somehow. They just get their email list compromised. Something that's really not really important to them. They don't care that, hey, all these email addresses that are associated with people who get our blast list, that got leaked, whatever, we're not going to report it. That happens all the fucking time. And it's aggravating as shit to me because they're not required to report that information at all. But let's say that happens. So now I, as an attacker with that list, I can now turn around and register the website Daytrade Slacker, but instead of an L, I use an I. And I've registered that domain. It's small chance that somebody's going to have that IACKER as the domain. Somebody's not going to have that registered. I can go and probably find it on GoDaddy right now for 99 cents for a year. I can register it with an email domain, and start sending blasts out of the email chain. And you, as the Daytrade Slacker receiver, are expecting something from me. So when I send you a blast that now contains a zip, you're like, oh man, this is going to be a bunch of tips. I'm going to open this up right away. And then you open it up and instantly you're pwned.
Gotcha. So a trusted email is being replicated and tricking them. They're not just like, what is this? And clicking. Okay. So they're not all idiots.
Yeah.
They're getting got.
Yeah. They're getting got. Now, this kind of highlights an interesting question that somebody posted to me. It's actually one of my support desk guys. He was like, well, I don't think it's such a big deal that this information's out there. How is it a big deal? The problem is that you don't know what information of yours is valuable. Like, you don't know. Like, the CISA, who's the overseeing body for the federal government body for seeing cybersecurity in the United States, they estimate that a single patient record for HIPAA is worth about $8 on the dark web market. My broken arm from when I was 13, I can't conceive of a reason why somebody could or would use that to gain money, but that record is worth $8. Just because I can't conceive of a reason why somebody would want that information doesn't mean it's not valuable. Doesn't mean it can't be valuable in some circumstance. Another argument for this is that you don't know what information of yours is volatile to you. So what I mean,
my stash of granny dick pics.
That's right. Your granny dick pics are gonna be. Somebody wants to know
which
that
are priceless.
I mean, mine are all midgets, so I totally get it. Midget porn is the thing. But
are you outing your own stature?
Man, don't kink shame me. Don't kink shame me. The whole thing is that you don't know what information of yours is volatile. And so when you are pushing this information out, when somebody's grabbing that information, you don't know what they're going to be able to use it for. And so even if the claim that if you aren't doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to hide, that's total bullshit. Because you don't know what you need to hide. You have no idea what somebody could or would use against you to harm you or people you care about.
How could someone harm you with your old medical records?
I can't, like I said, I can't really conceive of a good way to do it, but if we're going like...
You don't got the stuff, Matthew. You don't get what it takes to...
Oh, all right. Fucking throw this gauntlet down. All right, so we'll put it this way. 3 weeks ago, there was a hack against the University of Michigan. University of Michigan got hacked. All student records from 1989 to 2023 were taken, meaning social security numbers, transcripts, dean lists, everything was taken. All of that data was taken. What could somebody do with that information? How could somebody conceive? Well, this is how. What is one of the security questions that you most often get asked? One of the ones that I most often see is, who is your favorite teacher?
Right.
Who was your favorite professor?
Security questions from when you don't know your password or whatever. Yeah.
Your
second grade teacher.
Yeah.
Who is your mother's maiden name?
Yeah. Stuff like that. So one of them is, what was your favorite teacher in college, or what was your favorite professor in college? Somebody could use that transcript data to review your grades, and conceivably, the teacher or professor who you've had the most classes with, who you've had the highest grade average with, that's going to be your favorite teacher. That's going to be in that list, and that's going to be on that question. This harkens back to the who was it? Jennifer Lawrence hack. That hack.
The fappening. I know it well.
The fappening, exactly. The fappening. She got hacked live on television during a red carpet walk of one of the Hunger Games movies. She was on the red carpet, and she was talking about how much she loved her iPhone, and she said, "Oh, look, there's Apple telling me that I need to reset my password. Isn't that funny?" And then she goes on with the rest of the interview. What had happened is that there was some group of people who were talking to her publicist group through Twitter, asking them all of the personal questions like, "Oh, what's your pet's name? What's your mother's maiden name?" Things that, in the moment might seem arbitrary and useless, but when you think about how you use that information in your daily life, it can harm you in the long run. And that's where a lot of this can come from. So like with my broken arm, to bring it all back for my broken arm, that may have a direct impact on my life. It may be something that somebody could create a dossier on me as a person and be like, okay, we know this about this person. We know what their passwords might contain or the security questions might contain. So with that all being said, one of the pieces of advice I'm throwing at everybody in regards to this is, when you're answering those security questions, you need to make that nonsense that has nothing to do with your life, but that you can remember. One of the things that helps is comic book characters. Use comic book characters in place of real people. Use Sunday comics. Use those things. Use objects on your desk that are always going to be around your desk. Use those types of things as your security questions. Somebody who's a hacker who is looking for your information through a dossier isn't necessarily going to be able to tell that oh, this dude loves Calvin and Hobbes. Oh man, his security question probably is all Calvin and Hobbes stuff. But that's how you get around this. This is how you skip that sort of predictable answering of questions. So in the long run, that's how you combat this type of thing. But this specific thing with the WinRAR, bringing it all back to the original fucking article that we were talking about, bring it all the way back. In order to protect yourself with this information that has now been gotten, that has been handed out, nobody has any reason to report because there's no overseeing body. The way to protect yourself is to make sure you're aware of what you're clicking on. Always pay attention to the links that you click on and the destinations. Make sure that the information that you're receiving is in the format and from the people that you expect. Don't just trust everything. There is a concept in security, in cybersecurity, called zero trust. And what that means is every step of the way, you have to verify your presence. But you should be applying that in the opposite direction. Everybody should have to verify themselves to you every time they do something with you. Meaning, every time somebody calls you, you don't just start talking to the number that calls you on your phone as if they were your mom. At least I hope not. That would be really awkward. Holly might get upset.
No, she's good with that.
Oh, what?
What?
What? No, but yeah, you don't do that. You trust you ask people on the phone. You don't just start.
X-Files says trust no one.
Yeah, exactly. Be Mulder. God damn it. So moving on. That one's kind of light. WinRAR isn't really that big of an exploit or that big of a compromise or threat or anything like that. It's just interesting. This one, however, is kind of scary and should be scary for just about everybody on this planet, except for, us few smart ones who don't use Apple products. So this one is...
Hey! I'm fully on the teat.
I know.
The Apple teat is...
You're a marketing guy. You kind of have to be. At least that's the experience I've had, all you marketing folks. This one is Apple zero-click iMessage exploit used to infect iPhones with spyware. This doesn't just affect iPhones, by the way. This affects the entire Apple infrastructure, the entire Apple ecosystem. Macs, iPhones, what is it? iTVs or
Apple TV?
Apple TV, thank you. God, there's too many I's, too many apples. What this is... This has happened more than once, by the way. There is a way to send a crafted text message to a target number with an iOS device. And what happens when they receive that text message, the iMessage protocol or the iMessage reader interprets the data that's sent and then does things. And normally, the iMessage protocol kind of isolates it and sandboxes the code so that way it can't affect your stuff. But in this circumstance, it escapes all of that. It skips the entire process and starts downloading and installing data to your phone to the point where you don't even realize you've been sent the text. So,
wow.
Yeah, you get this.
So you don't even have to engage. It's just, if you receive it, you've been had.
You got got.
Yeah.
You got got. Yeah. This is something that has happened. Like I said, this has happened a few times. And primarily where this comes from is nation-state actors. So the big one that used to occur is this group called the NSO Group. You may have heard of them. They had a software called Pegasus. And Pegasus is a pretty cool tool if you're in my world, but kind of scary if you're not. Pegasus was a tool that was able to hack iPhones before really anybody knew iPhones were vulnerable to anything. And so like you could get sent a message from this Pegasus software. It would install itself on your phone, and they'd be able to see all the data about you as a person while you're using your phone, in your pocket, wherever. And the NSO Group is Israeli. So they theoretically have some very strict guidance on who they sell this product to.
So what iteration of iOS was susceptible to this?
Oh, it's all the way up until this latest one.
Oh, holy crap.
NSO Group just disbanded last late last year. So
That's what they want you to think.
yeah, right. That's exactly it. The NSO group primarily hires out of the Israeli version of the NSA. So they've got a bunch of these really smart, really intelligent people working on this product, and so, but that is the type of group that we normally see facilitating these types of attacks. They're the ones that do the research. They're the ones that develop the tools, and they're the ones that sell it. Well, this specific version of the of this exploit that has now come out hasn't had anybody identified as the culprit to design it and exploit it. But we know from Citizen Lab, who does security research and tries to protect nonprofits and protesters and things like that, Citizen Lab has confirmed that this exploit has taken place on other devices, on target devices, on people they try to protect. And so it's scary, like I said, because you, as a normal person, aren't going to know you're infected until your phone might do something weird. But your phone resetting probably isn't going to tell you much. You're probably not going to be too concerned if your phone resets randomly. I'm like, oh, I must have held the power button down too long or whatever. You know, oh my God.
I might notice.
Yeah, you might notice, but you might not think too much of it. Like most people kind of ignore that sort of thing. Unless they're super paranoid. But like this is specifically targeting nonprofit folks who are protesting certain aspects of other governments. So the theory is that this is probably something from Russia or China or North Korea.
So they're targeting instigators.
Or Iran.
They're not trying to get regular Joes.
Yes, that is correct. The fear is that one of these days, one of these organizations is going to have such shit information security that they're going to get hacked by some script kiddie who's going to go fucking wild and just go for everybody he possibly can. Because that's the big worry, is that you get some script kiddie who gets a hold of this tool before Apple has a chance to patch it, and everybody gets owned out of nowhere. And it's some 14-year-old who's sitting in his parents' basement just maniacally doing whatever he can to just screw with people. I mean, it's what I would do if I was 14.
You would.
Uh-huh.
Is this you? This might be you.
Oh, it's totally not. I don't have enough time. I hate Apple. I can't stand to even touch one. Say that knowing full well my wife has all Apple products.
Opposites attract.
Yeah. Oh, man. So, question here is, what can you do to defend yourself against this kind of attack? And unfortunately, my answer here is you have to kind of trust Apple to do their job.
That was my question, was you're waiting for them to tell you how to combat it, and it's just updating your shit.
Yeah.
There's no
way for you to prevent this kind of attack.
You can't stop a text message incoming.
Yeah. You can't. But the methodology and attack structure that these guys sort of follow is it's kind of predictable. So, normal person isn't going to be vulnerable to this. They're not going to be targeted for this kind of an attack. But it is going to be kind of...
The technology is scary, though.
Yeah, it is scary. But like I said, it's indicative of a problem where if they get hacked or somebody else gets a hold of this tool who's less scrupulous about who they're going to go for, it's going to affect a whole lot more people. For an example, this same type of tool was released in the 2016 Olympics, and every government official who visited the 2016 Olympics had gotten pwned by the software that was there. And so it's kind of a thing where you're like, if you're going to a place as an important person, as somebody who's an instigator, you need to make sure that where you're going is trustworthy. Otherwise, leave your shit at home and go and buy a burner phone. Like, I can go to Walmart and buy one for $15 and go throw a cheap data plan on that and have that phone when I travel. doesn't cost that much, and it will save you more money in the long run to have that burner phone than it would if you didn't buy it and you brought your real phone with you. So that's one of the ways. Another way to prevent this, so if you are an instigator, if you're somebody who protests and are part of some sort of nonprofit organization that gets targeted by these sorts of attacks, you should learn what your threat profile is. You should learn where you're going to get attacked from, and you should protect yourself against that. One of the reasons why I pick on Apple is because everybody seems to use Apple and think that it's ultra super secure and safe when it isn't. One of the powerful things about Android is that it is modular, and that you can add tools on top of it to prevent this type of an attack. Apple doesn't really allow that to an extent. I mean, you can put some antiviruses on there. You can put some EDRs on there.
I don't. I never have.
Yeah, but
on my MacBook, on anything.
Yeah, Apple doesn't really let you do anything with it. Even the EDR developers, they just sit there and they go, well, we have something for it, but it doesn't really work all that well. It doesn't work as well as it does on a PC. It doesn't work as well as it does on an Android. And so maybe if you're one of those instigators, hop off of the Apple teat and get on some Android, because it might make your life just a little bit easier. I don't know. Google owes me. Google owes me some money now. That's what I feel like. All right. So we'll move on to this next one. This next one's kind of cool. It's really so there was a hacking group called CACBot. Or Quackbot. I don't know how you want to pronounce it.
There's no Q there.
That is a Q.
Oh, sorry. There's no U there.
Yeah, I know. I want to call it CACBot, but I've heard it pronounced Quackbot.
Quackbot.
Because the operation that was that was performed to take this group down was called Duck Hunt. So, I think the FBI thinks it's supposed to be Quackbot, but I like CACBot. Anyways, CACBot is a group of malicious actors, hackers out there that have hit a ton of organizations across the world. They have raked in a ton of money through ransomware and through botnets and DDoS attacks and things like that. They are just malicious actors. And what's cool is that the FBI was able to basically disassemble the entire CACBot ecosystem and framework. So what's really cool about this, what's really awesome, is that the FBI, now that they've done that, the FBI now has all of the keys, all the encryption keys, all of the software so that it can be reverse engineered. So anybody who's a victim of CACBot or who is a victim of somebody who bought CACBot software to then perform activities on a target, all of these people can get their information back. And this is happening in real time, where we're seeing people who are suddenly able to recover their shit after it's been taken.
So how is CACBot infiltrating people?
So CACBot, typically the way that CACBot and groups like them get in is that there are three methods which they get in, and they have separate teams that perform these types of attacks. So the first way they get in is by exploiting 0 days. And 0 days are, if you've probably heard that term.
I have not.
Yeah, well, a lot of people have. It's 0 day to you, isn't it?
Okay.
It's 0 day to you.
It's zero comprehension to me. I don't know what it is.
So 0 day is a term that cybersecurity folks use to reference an exploit or vulnerability that the target company or software vendor has had zero knowledge to by the time it has been leveraged for an attack. So, for instance, I discover
they could not combat it in any way because it happened so quickly.
Exactly, or it just never was noticed, or so on and so. Basically, at some point, it got exploited before it was ever able to.
Or it's one of those signs that like warehouses keep, where it's like 0 days since this accident. Flip, we got fucked again. Flip the thing.
Yeah. So yeah, no, exactly. when an organization gets prior knowledge to a vulnerability through what is called vulnerability hunting, you can actually hunt vulnerabilities and get paid for it. It's actually a really lucrative job. I mean, there are guys who make millions of dollars a year just hunting vulnerabilities. That's all they do all day. They don't even patch them and just find them for companies. But when you're doing vulnerability hunting and you alert a company, that's when the timer starts. And there's a thing called responsible disclosure, where as a vulnerability hunter, if I find a vulnerability of yours, I'm going to allow you a certain period of time to patch that vulnerability before I release it out to the general public. Now, the question a lot of people ask is, why would you do that? Why would you tell everyone that this thing is vulnerable to a specific attack? Because you're just arming the bad guys with that knowledge. Well, the thought process is you're also arming the good guys with the information on how to fix it. So they can make a determination to be like, well, I should really patch this, or I should take it off the internet, or I should turn it off, or maybe I should just throw it in the trash because that's where it belongs.
Yeah. The Death Star did not have a vulnerability hunter.
Oh no, it didn't. It's God, I can't remember his name.
Oh, ASO. What's his name?
The designer.
Yeah.
I can't remember his
Quentin
name.
Mesa. Oh, I can't remember.
Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin. That's all I can think of right now. I know. Anyways, yeah, the Death Star had no threat hunting. They had no vulnerability hunting, and so that exhaust port was left open for a torpedo to make its way in. And that is.
I'm just here to throw you off. I'm just here to distract your train of thought.
That is a perfect analogy for anybody who isn't in IT and also loves Star Wars. Which I don't know how big that Venn diagram is, but it's at least got to be bigger than...
It's a sliver.
It's got to be bigger than the number of people that listen to this show, at least. So with threat hunting and responsible disclosure, I give you a time frame, and typically that time frame is with like 90 days. I give you 90 days to patch the vulnerability.
Contractually, they have to give you...
No, there's actually no there are contracts that state when you would release something with responsible disclosure. But generally, vulnerability hunters are not under contract. They're just guys who are doing it freelance. They say, I found this vulnerability, pay me, and in 30 days, 90 days, I'm going to release the information for this vulnerability, whether you've patched it or not. So it's up to you. So when a company has prior knowledge, the clock starts on their ability to patch it before the information is released. So any vulnerability that a company gets prior knowledge to before it gets exploited is not considered a 0 day. For an example, one of the ways we see this is with we're gonna pick on SolarWinds because they deserve it. SolarWinds got hacked, and the way they got hacked was because their patch server was secured with a password that was something close to password, (1). It was just something real stupid and simple. That is not a vulnerability. That is a 0 day because that's just not... Password, (1) is not a secure password, and that's a vulnerability that's been known about since the beginning of the internet. Like, we know that's a problem. So that's not a 0 day. But like the 0 day that has happened recently has been the MoveIt 0 day, which has just been a file server which sits on the internet, and there's a way for people to use that to get directly to the files that exist on the server. That wasn't known before it was used to breach 900 companies. And those companies weren't small. They were places like every healthcare organization, Colorado Medicare organization, TD Ameritrade was part of it. So it's like not small companies. These are huge companies that were hit by this.
Wow. And
so that was a 0 day. And so CACBOT, a small portion, I'd probably say somewhere between 5 and 25% of their malicious hacks were sourced from 0 day exploitation. They have people who are hunting for 0 days, just like there are good guys hunting for 0 days. There are bad guys hunting for 0 days, and they probably got about between 5 and 25% of their targets infected through 0 day approaches. The other 25% is through malicious linking. So one of the ways that I'm going to serve up bad information, bad intel to you is I'm going to target you for ads. Because guess what? Google, Microsoft, Amazon, they don't care where they get their ad revenue from. Yep. They're going to serve those ads up.
Yep.
And specifically, they're going to serve it up to whoever wants that. And so CACBot will buy ad services looking like a legitimate service. And when you go, like, they'll mock up something like, "Hey, here's the new cheat for this game. Come download it." And it'll be an ad on Google. You'll click on it. You'll download the ad because you're a dummy.
An ad for a free cheat?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dumb shit right there. Yeah.
Dude, Roblox. You got to look up Roblox.
Yeah.
If you don't know about that, you are a boomer. At least that's what my son tells me. But yeah, so those types of ads pop up, and behind them is just this malicious software that gets served up. And once you download it and install it, then you're owned by CACBot, and they'll, even if your computer doesn't have access to sensitive data and they can't find anything valuable that they want, they'll just add your computer to their botnet that will then help spread the information and help spread their malware about. And then the last and most effective way they spread malware is through phishing. They spread it through what is called maldoc, or malicious documents. And so the way that these generally work is that they're PDFs or Excel spreadsheets or Word documents that have some sort of code inside them that you as a user are then asked to run. Mm-hmm. So there's a couple of failures here in that regard with those maldocs that you kind of have to get past in order for them to work. So one, you have to open up a document from a person who you've probably never talked to before, because they're not sending these in any targeted manner. They're just blasting them out. They're just throwing them out there. So you have to open up this Word document from an email from somebody you've never talked to before. Then not only do you have to open it, but then you have to run the macro or whatever's in the background, because Office will ask you if you want to do that. And you have to be an active participant as a user to run that. It doesn't just run without you knowing. It asks you. Or if you double click on the link that's in there, it will tell you. Unless you've done some strange things and made all of those security features moot by disabling them, which is possible too. But normally,
if you know how to do that,
yeah,
you're probably smart enough to not.
Yeah, if you know how to disable the security features, you're probably smart enough to not do that.
Yep. Generally,
though I won't. The ingenuity of morons is astounding sometimes. But that being said, so that's the way CACBot is infecting most of their folks, is through those three methods. Maldoc is probably going to be anywhere from 60 to 80% of their overall numbers. Wow. Maldoc breaches, and this comes on the heels of a whole lot of other interesting things that come through email. So phishing emails and malicious emails, spear phishing emails, all of that are targeting users to try to get them to share or expose information in one way or another. And every time I talk to somebody about it, they're like, phishing? I never fall for phishing. Not at all. Not ever. And they're so confident about their ability to spot phishing emails. And it's because they're really confident at spotting the really easy ones to spot. Mm-hmm. Because those are intentional. Attackers are intentionally blinding you to the harder, more sophisticated phishing emails by blinding you with shitty ones. They will send those out with the Nigerian prince, or the, hey, I got your porn video and I'm going to share it to your boss if you don't pay me 5 Bitcoin. They know those are trash. If they get successful every now and then, awesome. bonus. But they know those are trash
Right.
because they're trying to lull you into a sense of security that I see a pattern, so I know what to expect.
It's the Namibian prince that just fucking gets me.
Yeah, it's not
Nigerian. Not today, hacker.
Dude, it's Moldova. Every
Forget about
time.
it.
Every
Forget about
time. But yeah, so it's those you see those patterns, and as a user, you kind of get lulled into a sense of security. You're like, oh, I know what to look for. I know how to spot these. It's really easy. So then when they send a really good one, you miss it.
I've seen one that looked identical to an Amazon email with click here for your shit's on the way. Click here for the tracking order. It's got a long confirmation number, and the URL looks kind of legit. So if you currently have something en route, I could see how you might want to click it.
Yeah, that is absolutely how that works. Another one that just came out or has just been more frequently used is there's a service that Microsoft offers. It's called Customer Voice, customervoice.microsoft.com. This is a service that Microsoft offers for businesses to allow their customers to rate their products. So a business uses Microsoft's Customer Voice platform to get feedback from their clientele. So the way that this can be manipulated is I can register a Customer Voice business and put anything I want there. But when you click on the link, it's going to a Microsoft.com email address. So it looks legit.
Yeah. Yep.
And guess what I'm going to do as an attacker, knowing that it says Customer Voice? I'm going to send you an email that says you have a pending voicemail message. Visit customervoice.microsoft.com to listen to this voicemail message. And that's what you're going to do because you think customer voice, it's voicemail. Of course, it makes sense. And you're going to click on it. And you're not going to know that this page isn't Microsoft because they've crafted it to look exactly like Microsoft. And the link's going to look like Microsoft. You're going to click on the link. And it's going to take you to a malicious page. And it's crafty as all hell. And unless you knew exactly what you were looking for, or your browser let you know that there was a problem with the link, or any of another million things that could happen, you're not going to see it. Like, as you have to look for it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not something that you see. So this is also facilitated. We had a study actually just this past month where an organization had a compromise on their server. It wasn't really a compromise. They had this web server that was hosting this website, and the software vendor who created the software behind the website left this vulnerability on this website that allows you to redirect to another website. So the way this works is you get an email that has a link, and we'll say the link is going to the legitimate website, iteedmyself.com. But the link has extra information crafted on the end of it that says, I want you to redirect to virustools.ru. And so when you click on the link, you look like you're going to iteedmyself.com because that is where you're going. But then iteedmyself.com forwards you over because of the way that the information on the link is crafted over to that virustools.ru.
It's probably a URL 1,000 numbers long, and no one's reading the end of it.
Exactly. But here's where that sort of sophisticated or genuine attack comes into play. So I'm going to send an email to you, and I'm going to look like your bank. And I'm going to put on here, there's been an issue with your account. We're going to have to place a hold on your current balance on your account. Click here for more information. And the link that's in there just looks like a button that says click here. There's no extra text on there, so you're not necessarily going to pay attention to the text underneath that tells you where it's going to go. You're just going to click on the link. It's going to take you through iteedmyself.com to that target website. But here's where the trick comes in. The fact that they're going to the legitimate website, iteedmyself.com, means that all of the email filters that track that track if the link is malicious fail, because the website that it's first going to is legit. And those filters don't go the next step.
How do they get a legitimate redirect from a trusted, well-known website?
Like I said, it is
It's an inside job.
no, it's malicious code, or it's vulnerability in the code structure. This has been a vulnerability that's been around since 2001. Basically, I can put additional information at the end of my website request that tells that website to do something for me, and that website will do it. This is the genesis of how a lot of attacks work. Like Log4j was a big deal because you could just append data in there and it would absorb it. And you don't know what thing down the line had Log4j installed, but as soon as that, whatever that thing was, saw the code, it'd take it and use it. And so, yeah, that's how this kind of works, is that they're just finding things that are vulnerable. They're looking for those files, those exposed systems. And some of it is, there are inside people who are like, hey, I found this vulnerability. I told my boss, he fired me, so I'm going to release it maliciously out into the world. There are those people who do that. There's a ton of them. But generally, most of them are just bored guys who have nothing better to do with their life and don't have any other hobbies. They just want to find these things, and instead of responsible disclosure, they release it to the dark web, and then they can sell it and make some money off of it, and that is how a good percentage of this happens, is that their hobby is finding this. They don't have anything better to do, that because that's their hobby. That their hobby isn't, my hobby, which is playing video games, or, raising 3 children.
It's not a hobby.
It's not a hobby. It's definitely a fourth job. Oh my God.
That's pro bono work.
Pro bono. Pro bono to begin with.
That's pro bono.
All right, last but not least, we'll go over this one. Experts fear crooks are cracking keys stolen in LastPass breach. This is pretty serious. This one's really scary, for the simple fact that I've hit on it before a couple of times. LastPass, late last year, December 2002, got hacked, and the attackers got access to backups of people's password stores. Now, LastPass says that there is not a conceivable way, if you followed their guidelines to protect your password vaults, that an attacker could get in. But you would have had to actively change your protection scheme against your vaults, because LastPass didn't just do it for you. You would have had to tell them to do it. So I complained about this on the last podcast, because LastPass literally blamed their customers who were going to get compromised through this on the customer. They're like, you weren't involved enough with your own security to protect yourself. When it's like, okay, LastPass, you knew your shit was vulnerable to being broken, and you left it that way.
That's kind of the point, is that paying for your service to protect your shit.
That's right. Well, LastPass, most people use the free version, so pay is a strong word there.
Gotcha.
Anyways, when I talked about this last time, and as I've talked to this with my customers, I've told them that this is going to be a big deal. This is going to result in a lot of shit coming down. We're going to see this cascade into more and more breaches, because people's vaults are going to be broken as they get cracked, and then those keys are going to get exposed, and people are going to be able to log into sensitive systems with those old passwords. Because if there's one thing I've learned as a security expert, is one, people reuse the same password over and over and over again, and two, when they have to change the password, they are not creative at all. I mean,
stick a symbol at the end.
Increment the number by 1, and boom, you're good. Nobody likes the correct horse battery method of passwords, which is passphrase.
Oh,
have you heard? You Okay.
No.
So I don't know if you've heard the term. There's an XKCD about that. XKCD is a webcomic. It's amazing because it's all nerdy stuff. But there's one that's called there's a comic that's called Correct Horse Battery, and actually walks you through how to generate a good password or good passphrase that is, 1, easy to remember, and 2, easy to type in, and 3, easy to change. And it walks you through it. So Correct Horse Battery is the example passphrase they use. It's easy to remember because you can come up with a lot of different ways to remember what Correct Horse Battery is. So you're talking to a horse, it asks you what battery it is, you say D, it says correct horse battery. Things like that. But you also intersperse the words with a symbol. It doesn't have to be a different symbol every word. It can be the same symbol. At the end, you throw a number at it just because. With that is like 38 characters long. With that character structure, if you use that, it will take a computer 1,000,000 years to crack that password.
Wow.
So
you said 8 or 80? How many figures did you say?
Oh, I said 38.
38, sorry.
38. That's 38 characters in that password. I'm totally guessing because I can't do the math for all the letters and numbers right now. But it's a large number of letters. Yeah. And so it will take a computer a significant amount of time to crack that password. Basically, by the time they crack the password will be useless. So the point that I'm trying to make with that is when people change their or when people are alerted that their password has been compromised, they really don't do a whole lot of creative stuff with the password. Like they just change it, but they change it to the next easiest thing to remember for themselves. So with the LastPass breach and these keys being cracked, the vaults being cracked and the keys being stolen, what we're seeing initially right now is we are seeing cryptocurrencies being stolen. So they're basically, right now, the attackers who got in are looking for cryptocurrency wallets. And the way that you crack a wallet is inside of LastPass, you will store your wallet. I forget what it's called. It's basically a series of words that you utilize in case you forget your password. And these series of words are what you basically use to recover your password when you've lost it. And so they can go to whatever key exchange is supposed to be there or wallet that you have for your Bitcoin. They can type in those words, say, I forgot my password, here are my secret words, and then it'll allow them into the wallet, and then you can extract them and pull the Bitcoin out. And so that's what we're seeing right now. Is we're seeing a lot of that happening where people are just stealing Bitcoin from folks who have it. Wow. Now that's the first stage. What's going to happen next is once they're like, we've gotten pretty much everything we can out of this. We don't have any more Bitcoin we can get out of this. They're going to sell this. They're going to sell this database out, and they're going to be like, okay, who wants it? We've got folks who work in this industry and this industry, and they're going to be able to tell because the vaults have exposed information as to what passwords they go to or what websites the passwords go to. So like if you have a guy who has a password to Lockheed Martin's website, guess what? I have somebody who's a defense contractor right here. This is big bucks, 5 Bitcoin for this one vault. And they're going to walk out with this. And you're going to see every organization across the world impacted by this. Wow. It's super scary.
How do you sell illegal stuff like that? I don't even know how.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to give you a guide because I know what type of shit you're into, Matt. But no, you sell it. You sell this on the dark web. Typically, the way these are sold is on a forum on the dark web, and it's literally like the old message board days where you post stuff. I got this, and you have a bunch of people respond to you saying, "Oh, that looks cool. Can I see more?" And then there's a bunch of haggling for price, and then you sell it for Bitcoin, and it's an exchange, and you walk away. It's basically to the point where these guys can guarantee on an income. They can rely on this on an income like a job. Wow. That's how regular this is for them. So this is scary. This is ultimately a bad thing, and I'm going to admit that I was a victim of this breach. I haven't had any of my shit broken into yet, because once I got notified that my shit had been taken, I went and changed every password.
You put a symbol on the end of your
password. I did.
Calvin and Hobbes 69.9. You added another 9.
That's right. Oh, and I added a parenthesis.
Oh, gotcha.
But here's the thing: was it closed or was it opened?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
You put them together. What do you got?
Oh man, I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Oh no. But yeah, you change these. You change your passwords. That's what you have to do in this circumstance. Make sure that you've rotated your passwords once you get notified that there's a breach, even if it doesn't directly affect you. If you deal with an organization that's gotten breached, even if they don't admit that you have your information taken or that your information got compromised, I would change it anyways, because it costs you nothing to change your password. Like, it's just a little bit of time. Doesn't cost you any money to do it. Change your password. It's free. Because if you don't change your password and it's a legit thing, like, I don't change my password to my E-Trade account. My E-Trade account, I guess, is gone. I don't have that money anymore. So, you want to make sure that you change your passwords whenever you receive a breach notification. Whenever you receive a notification that something might have gotten wrong with an organization, you want to change your passwords. Because the opposite end of this is, if you don't, you end up getting your stuff stolen. And again, you don't know what somebody's going to look for to try to get to you. One of the things that you have to, as you are a citizen on the internet, that you have to understand is that as you work or do things on the internet, you are you're feeding information into every aspect of what you do.
Yeah.
And that information can be leveraged in any number of ways. As a marketing guy, I know you probably have an Adobe account. You probably use it quite frequently. You're licensed. And so knowing that you have an Adobe account, if I send you a message claiming to be Adobe, I'm going to be just that much more likely to succeed in a phishing attempt to get you.
Yep.
And so with that information exchange, I now have that data to craft to target you. There's a concept,
and that's why I use MS Paint.
There you go, MS Paint. Oh man, no,
yeah.
Oh no, what is it? What's that? What's the open source version of Photoshop? I can't remember.
Pixlr?
No, not Pixlr. It starts with a G though. It's got that little groundhog looking dude.
Oh, I don't know.
You don't remember? Oh, okay. Oh, I always used to use it when I could not afford Photoshop. Yeah. So when you are when you are working on the internet, you need to remember that there's a thing called whale fishing. Whale fishing is a concept of I am specifically targeting you. It's also known as spear fishing, but spear fishing is targeting anybody who's a person who I have information on. But
yeah, you're not casting a net. You're specifically trying to
you're spear fishing. But whale fishing is specifically looking for big targets who I can create a dossier on. So I am looking for you. Let's say I am targeting a doctor. Doctors love to have their face on the internet. I don't know. I don't understand it. I hate having my face on the internet. So I don't have video right now. But their doctors are targeted because their face is on the internet and their information is out there, because they kind of have to be for their patients to feel comfortable with who they're going to go see, right? But with that, I as an attacker know, hey, a doctor, they're making some money. They probably have some money to burn. They probably have some money that they're
to steal.
Yeah, and another thing that I know about doctors, having married one, is that they are very, very they believe they are right all the time. They are the most.
She's right upstairs.
I know. I've told her this before. They are the rightest people I have ever met because they know what they're talking about. They are educated. They have instructions on how to do things. And so when they're presented with data that may conflict,
very sweet and very attractive.
But anyways, when they, yeah, you're not even short-circuited me, damn it. Anyways, when
Spearfishing.
Yeah, when they're targeted with information that they think might go against what they believe, they react in a predictable way, like a lot of people do, like anybody does. But the thing with doctors is if you approach it in a method that raises their sense of urgency, they will react almost assuredly. So if you have something where you can convince them that patients are at risk, they will act on it immediately because they are supposed to. That is their job.
Yeah.
But so as an attacker, if I leverage that in an attack, I'm just going to be that much more successful in what I'm doing. And so when I am whale fishing, I'm creating a dossier on my target. I am looking at all the information I can gather on them, where they live, who they know, who works for them, who they've studied under, where they've gone to school, any other hospitals they may have worked at, what their practice does. I'm grabbing all this information to create this method of attack, this methodology of attack, to then get an expected outcome. This is no different than a con man, how a con man works in normal everyday life.
This feels a lot more labor intensive.
You would think that, but it's not. It's the same way that, you remember, who is that dude, the I Talk to Ghosts dude? Biggest douchebag in the universe.
Yeah, fucking ghost hunter.
Yeah,
I don't know his name.
Dave Edwards, is that what his name?
Jack dude with spiky hair and frosted tips.
Yeah. He was a con man.
Yeah.
And what he did was called cold calling. He would gain information.
Oh, that's talking about the TV show. Never mind.
Yeah.
We're talking about the same guy?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he would, when he would do it live on TV with an audience in front of him, all he was doing was cold calling. Mm-hmm. And so as a con man, that's all I'm doing. I'm cold calling you. And as an attacker, I'm not really even doing cold calling. I'm just doing what is called open source intelligence, which is I'm grabbing any information that the internet has about you. I can ask you for the same information, but what I'm doing, I can do in 5 minutes. Whereas cold calling, I might have to sit with you for 15 minutes to get you to trust me with the information. But as a con man, I am, one, leveraging information to get myself into a place of trust, implementing a sense of urgency, and giving you an idea of immediate reward. So there's a lot of ways that this can be leveraged and a lot of ways that people can attack you with it. But when you're doing something like whale hunting, that information is readily available. And so whenever you're doing something on the internet, you are feeding that information out. And so to protect yourself on the internet and protect everybody else on the internet, you should be reducing your exposure to that. You should be limiting the amount of cookies that you share. You should be limiting the amount of information you just leave out on the internet. Don't post random shit on TikTok.
Yeah.
Don't put your new job on LinkedIn as soon as you get hired. Don't post your favorite sports team on Reddit. You know, don't take a selfie and immediately post it on on the team's Instagram. It's that stuff is what will get.
So don't be a person on the internet, is what you're trying to say.
Well, don't
enjoy the internet in any way possible.
People need to change what they believe is acceptable. When you're handing out this information, you're giving access to it. You're giving everybody access to it. And again, you don't know what information you give out can be used against you. And I realize that I am, one, being hypocritical, having a podcast talking about this, using my real name and the place that I work. I realize I'm a huge hypocrite in doing this. But
Matthew, what is your methodology for your password creation?
oh, my password creation is actually I created my own.
Joking. I was trying to get you to.
I'm gonna. Now you've opened it up. I actually
right.
created my own. I actually created just my own application that does it.
Oh wow.
That's it. I was
It's
like,
just a randomized numbers and
it took the English dictionary,
Yeah.
and then I told it put a symbol between each word, and then tack on 2 numbers at the end and 2 symbols at the end, and that's it. And so it does it, and it's totally random. And
it's
some of the
and
words
it's different for every login or platform that you use.
Every password is different. Every login is
So you
different.
just trust your browser to memorize your shit?
No, I have a password manager. I have a password manager that
Enters your shit for you every time.
that it enters it in every time, but I host it myself because I have the tools to do that. But you can utilize things like that. LastPass used to be one that you could use, but I would say things like Bitwarden is another really good one. Psono, KeePass, OnePass, YubiKey. Those are all different tools that you can utilize to manage password and access on your behalf. And they're engineered in such a way that it takes a little bit of setup on the front end, but after you do that, you never have to think about a password ever again.
Yeah.
I don't know 95% of my passwords.
Yeah.
Because why would I?
How can you? They're 18 characters deep or whatever.
Exactly, 18 characters deep, and I have 1,000 different passwords I have to use every day. Yeah, I don't know. I don't type in any of my passwords either. They get entered in through every utility. They're all secure. They don't enter into a clipboard or anything like that.
So could these services just automatically refresh your password without you even knowing and just continuously changing it without your knowledge?
That is the world that that we're hopefully going to get into. There is a protocol that everybody's trying to move to where passwords become redundant. And instead of a password, you will in
Retinal
fact,
scan.
No, you'll just have your phone. And every time you want to log into something, it sends your phone a notification, and you click, I want to log in. Let me in. And that'll happen.
It's like the Google two-step authentication.
Exactly. But then your phone, on top of asking you if you want to be logged in, tracks your fingerprint, because every phone has a fingerprint reader on it now. Or, at some point they may have a retinal scanner. I don't know. Something. You can do the face scan too, biometrics, all that. So, there is a methodology. There is a target for this, for organizations to fix this. They are getting there. And unfortunately, they're not getting there fast enough. And LastPass is a good example of where it went wrong, of where this type of implementation went wrong. Because LastPass, and the reason why this is such a big deal, and the reason why I beat up on them all the time, is that they said they were going to be transparent. After the first hack that happened like 6 years ago, they said they were going to be transparent, and they weren't. And then they got hacked again, and they said they were going to be transparent, and then they weren't. And then this hack happened, and then they said they've been transparent, but they haven't been. And so they've lost trust. But places like Bitwarden, they're transparent. They give us the information about their security. Like they hand out, this is the vulnerability scan that we've had for our software. This is the security report that we've done. And they hand that information out so that you know what may be exposed, how you're exposed to your threat platform. And I'm not saying as an internet citizen, as a citizen on the internet, as somebody who normally uses and enjoys the internet, that you have to completely devoid yourself of all enjoyment on the internet. But maybe be less of a poster and more of a lurker. If you're going to post things, post them anonymously. Make sure that all information.
To be a foreigner on the internet,
exactly.
Not a citizen.
Yeah, be a foreigner. Yeah. Don't carry a passport with you.
Right.
Yeah, and when you have a wallet on you, make sure you have the fake wallet tucked into your jacket pocket, so that way you know.
No, the secret is you stash your passwords in your underwear.
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, never mind.
That's what that's
Anyways, so I think that wraps this up. This episode of I Teed Myself. That'll wrap this up. Hopefully next week we'll have another one of these up and running. For today's episode, our articles came from thehackernews.com, bleepingcomputer.com, crepsecurity.com, and darkreading.com. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach me directly at matthew@iteedmyself.com. I have no creativity when it comes to email addresses. And you can also reach us at iteedmyself@rain.tech more broadly. If you guys have any tips or tricks, hit us up there. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time.
Rawr.